Hi, today's topic deals with multi-step inequalities. The objective is, how do we solve multi-step linear inequalities? So when it comes to solving multi-step inequalities, step 1, use a distributive property and combine like terms. Step 2, collect variables on one side of the equation. So whether you want to have all your variables on the left side or the right side, all of them have to be together and your constants on the other side. Step 3, undo addition or subtraction. So to get one term to the other side, you either do it using the properties of equality by using addition or subtraction. And then step 4, undo by using multiplication and or division to get one term to one side or to the other side. And remember, when it comes to inequalities, if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative, you flip the inequality sign. Always remember that. Dividing or multiplying by a negative, flip the inequality sign. This is where most of the mistakes usually happen. Step 5, you solve for the variable. And step 6, if you want to make sure that your answer is correct, you would check your work. And if there's a number line where you need to graph it, then step 7, you would graph your solution. Okay, we're going to do a few examples using this step in order to solve multi-step inequalities. So the first one, we have 9 over 5c plus 32 is greater than negative 31. So we need to solve for c. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do an addition and or subtraction, properties of equality, in order to get that c by itself. So I'm going to rewrite, oops, let me choose my pen. I'm going to rewrite the equation, the inequality again. So I got something to work off of. And I'm going to subtract 32 on both sides. So this will cancel out. This will leave me with 9 over 5c. And then I just add those two since they both have negative. Same sign. You add them. So it would be 63. And now I need to either divide 9 over 5 or multiply. But I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal because that is way easier. So I'm doing the reciprocal of 9 over 5, which is 5 over 9. And what I do on one side, I do on the other. Go back to green. So this will cancel out. This will cancel out. I'm left with c. And then I just straight multiply. But in this case, I know that 9 can go into 63 7 times. So I'm going to that 1, turn that to 7. And then I'll have negative 35c. Negative 35. And if I were to write it in my set builder notation, so it's c, and then c greater than negative 35. Okay, so that's how you would do it when it comes to solving multi-step inequalities. This one didn't have where negative where I had to divide it, but if that were the case, then you would need to do that. All right, so we're going to do the next one. Just want to make sure I have what I need. Okay. All right, so now I need to solve for b, and I need, the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to just rewrite this, and I'm going to subtract 19 on both sides. So I can have negative 7b alone because it has the variable. This cancels out. And then I add those two, which will give me 35. Oops. Got to carry the 1. Let me do undo. Yeah. So it'll be negative 35. And then I'm dividing by negative 7. And remember, when you're dividing by a negative, when dealing with inequalities, you flip the inequality symbol. So that will turn like this. And then you have 5. And then my last thing, the set builder notation. Right. Next one. Sometimes you'll have word problems. Same thing you do with any word problem. You read it first, and the second time you read it again and pick out the information that they gave you and see what they're asking you to solve for. So the first thing it says 3 times a number minus 18 is at least 5 times the number plus 21. All right, so now I need to translate this into an algebraic expression or algebraic to an inequality so I can solve. So it says 3 times a number. We know 3 times, let's multiply a number. Don't know what that number is, so I'm going to put n minus 3 times a number minus 18 is at least. Remember when we did at least, at most? So that means if you have at least 5 dogs, that means you are starting with 5, and then you can go up and get more. So that means it will be greater than or equal to. And at least 5 times, so 5 times the number we use, since we used n, we're going to use n again, plus 21. Okay, so now we're going to put this all together. So 3n, 3 times n, minus 18 is greater than or equal to 5 times n plus 21. So I translated from verbal to the inequality, and now I'm going to solve. So I'm going to have all my like terms together. So this I'm going to bring to the other side by subtracting 5n. This cancels out. This will give me negative 2n minus 18. Bring down the symbol, the sign, and then I'm going to bring 18 to the other side by adding it. This cancels out. Bring down the negative 2n and the greater than or equal to, and then I add up those two, so that'd be 39. And then I'm going to be dividing by negative 2. So that means when I divide by negative 2, I need to flip the inequality symbol. So instead of greater than equal to, it will be less than equal to. And then 39 divided by 2 will give me negative 19.5. And then I write this in the set builder notation. All right. Okay, so next one. This one has more involved, and you know distribution is going to happen. You see those parentheses? Distribution will happen. So I'm going to rewrite it. And then I'm going to use another color to show that I'm going to be distributing whatever is inside the parentheses. And that minus in front of the parentheses, that's our invisible 1. So I'm going to put that 1 there. All right, now I can start distributing. Bring down the 3d because I didn't do anything with that. Negative 2 times 8d is negative 16d. Negative 2 times negative 9 gives me positive 18. Then 3, bring that down. Negative 1 times 2d is negative 2d. And negative 1 times positive 7 gives me negative 7. All right, combine like terms. This one is going to be 13d. Bring down the 18. And then I've got 3 minus 7, the negative 4, and bring down the negative 2d. Now I'm going to bring my terms, put them together by using the properties of inequality. So I'm going to add 2d on both sides. Cancel this out. This will give you negative 11d. Bring down the positive 18 and the negative 4. And then I'm going to subtract 18 on both sides. This cancels out. Bring down the negative 11d. And then I'm going to add these two. That's all right, 22. And then I'm going to that turned purple, divide by negative 11. So since I'm dividing by a negative number, I have to flip the inequality. So that will give me 2. And then I write it in the set builder notation. And then I have my answer. And there you go. So that was solving multi-step inequalities. Again, everything that you learn how to, when it comes to solving equations, regular equations, you just apply it with inequalities and pay attention to rules, especially if you're dividing or multiplying by a negative number. You know you need to flip that symbol. Okay? Do one more. Again, this has double distribution on one side and then the other side, so we have a whole thing going on here. So I'm going to rewrite that. Again, it may seem complex, but again, you're still using the steps and the same procedure you would do with just doing a regular multi-step equation. Again, this one, distributive property. So I'm going to show what needs to be distributed. So that way it reminds me that, okay, I need to distribute everything before I start simplifying and combining. So this would be 8t, this would become 16, that's going to be negative t, then positive 12, that's going to be 5t, and then negative 35, and bring down the 8. Now I combine like terms, and just to make sure that you pay attention to whatever signs, I'm going to combine. I'm going to make shapes that are equivalent to what's going on. So the ones with the variables will have circles, and the ones with the coefficients will have squares. So I got this, and I got this. And notice how I attached a sign. Whatever sign is in front of the number is together with the number. All right, so now this helps me to know, okay, what I need to combine. So the 18 minus 3t gives me 5t, and the 16 plus 12 will give me 28. And then let's see what else I combine, bring down the 5t, and then I will subtract the negative 35 plus 8 will give me negative 27. Yeah, negative 27. Now I start combining the like terms, put all my variables on one side. So I'm going to subtract 5t on both sides. And this will cancel out over here, and this will also cancel out. So I have left with 28 is less than negative 27. Now when you look at that, because usually you want to see a variable being less than or equal greater than to whatever number, but in this case there'll be times where you have both the terms cancel out on both sides with the variable, and you're left with the coefficient. So this one says 28 less than negative 27. So is it true that 28 is less than negative 27? No, that is false. So that means when you have a false statement like this, that means there's no solution. There's no solution. But let's say that this was different. Let's say that it was 28 less than 35 that you ended up with. If that statement is true, so then that would be all real numbers. So just to make sure that you think that, oh, you know, there's a problem there, look at the inequality, look what is being written. If the statement is true, then it means all real numbers is possible for a solution. If the statement is false, then that means there's no solution. All right. So we've reached the end of that. Let's go back for a recap. It doesn't get frozen. So again, we did multi-step inequalities, just like you do with any equations, but with inequality, if there's any distributive property that needs to be dealt with, Do the distributive property, combine your like terms, have your variables on one side and then your coefficient on the other, using the properties of inequality to either do the inverse, like of adding or subtracting, and then you do the multiplication or division. And if there's a negative that you're multiplying or dividing, make sure that you flip the inequality symbol, solve for the variable, and if you come across where the variables disappear, they cancel out, and you're left with the numbers, look at the statement. If the statement is true, then that means that all real numbers is a solution. If the statement is false, then there's no solution. Right, and of course, when you have to write your final answer, write it in that set builder notation. Right, so this concludes our lesson. And if there's any questions, you know that you can email me to get further clarifications or more examples. Right, so have a good day and see you around.